We are not a learned Sanskrit scholar, so we can understand the meaning. I think it would be nice to have the translation so we can get the mood of the author. So we will be reading from Simanaha Siksa, Splendid Instructions to the Mind by Raghunath Das Goswami. We are on verse number 8, commentary by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Shri Gandharva Bhajan, worship of Shri Gandharvika Giridhari, that's a deity of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. The infinitesimal living being, in its limited capacity to experience bliss, may sometimes experience Brahmananda, the bliss of realizing Brahman, or Atmananda, the bliss of knowing oneself to be a spiritual soul. However, without the mercy of the internal pleasure potency, Ladini Sakti, mercy of Srimati Radharani, one can never experience the transcendental ecstasy or Paramananda, the supreme bliss of loving service. So this is three realization has been given: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. One gets that mercy when, after hearing about the eternal loving emotions of the eternal residents of Brajadam, a greed may awaken in the heart of the practitioner to achieve that very same devotional sentiment. So we have to know the life of the Brajavasis, which is really important. We have to learn their sentiment, how they perceive, how they act. In this way, the sincerity to beg and pray for that sentiment will begin. Once that sincere desire has awakened, the devotee should take shelter and show one of Srimati Radharani's girlfriends, Sakhis or Manjaris. Only by the mercy of the Sakhis can one be eligible to show the divine couple. Never expect to show Krishna directly. We will never be able to. By getting the mercy of Sakhi, one will gradually obtain the mercy of Sri Radharani, which is required to experience that ever-increasing happiness in our heart. Otherwise, it's impossible. With the increase of such mercy, Ladini Sakti proportionally manifest in the heart. As Krishna says, as you surrender, I reward them accordingly. Which makes the spiritual bliss of service to the divine couple eternally available to the soul. A very beautiful picture. Showing the Radha and Krishna divine couple. He's sitting on a throne. On the backdrop is all the lotuses design. Wonderful Vyasasana. And all these gopis some are stringing the garland for the Krishna. Some of them are helping, some of them are clapping, some of them are smiling, preparing the food. Wonderful picture. At the bottom, the message is, one takes the shelter of one of the girlfriends or assistants of Srimati Radharani and shows her, from which one gets the eligibility to serve the divine couple. I think there is only 1.5 page, so I think we should finish this. As long as practitioner maintains mental masculinity, he remains ineligible to serve in this way. There is no connections of one's worldly male and female body to this mood and service. In its original form, the jiva has a spiritually feminine nature. If a person superimposes concept of material gender, everything is destroyed. Manah Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Manah Shiksha Bhas, Song 8. Brajabhumi Chintamani, Chidananda Ratanakhani, Yatha Nitya Rase Ravilas, Jive Diba Gudhadhana, Chiniti Krishna Vrindavan, Jade Ane Karila Prakash. The land of Raj is a wish fulfilling gem, and that's why we have to deeply study the Braj. Indeed, it's a jewel mine of consciousness and bliss, where Sri Krishna's eternal sweet playful pastimes manifest. Krishna thought, quote, if I bring Vrindavan and make it manifest on earth, then I can give the greatest, most secret treasure to the souls there. Hare Krishna. You know, at 4:30 meditation, we see that how this Govardhan hill came from the spiritual world actually. And it says that the part of the Goloka Vrindavan actually descended into this material world, because as we read today, that in the spiritual world, first Krishna created the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan, where that, as we read this Govardhan Parvat, was 800,000 miles wide, 8 billion miles long, and 4 billion miles tall. And then Krishna says to Govardhan that you take out whole my Goloka Vrindavan, and he stopped the Govardhan to grow from there. So we can see then the part of the same Govardhan Krishna bring to the material world with the help of the Pulatsya Muni pastimes that we will be reading more deeply. We need to know all this detail slowly and slowly. Whatever we read, you know, it's so nice. All the Braj Lila is so wonderful. Slowly and slowly, our intelligence will grasp all these details. Krishna Mora Dayara Sagar, Tumi Mana Brajadhama, Brahmi Brahmi Avirama, Daka Krishna Hayya Katar. My Krishna is an ocean of mercy, O heart. Keep wandering in Braj ceaselessly and cry it out for Krishna in despair. Haribol. This is Bhakti Vinod Thakur is giving us the hint to awaken the love for Krishna. This is required. Avidya vilasa vase, chile tumi jada rashe, dustat hrudaye paila sthan, haila tumi satha raj, bhulile apna kaj, hrudaye varile abhiman. You were in the grip of illusory delights, reveling in mundane romance, and evil found a place in your heart. You became a master cheater, forgetting your own duties, and began to foster ego in your heart. Actually, this Govardhan is so powerful because it says that in the spiritual world, Krishna created because Radharani asked him that he need those grooves where wonderful trees are there, so many caves, beautiful fountains, where cow can take so nice. And just to please Radharani, it says that the seeing the love of Radharani, Krishna, his eyes he bring into his heart. And with that love, that uh, fire and water came out from the heart of Krishna, and it dropped where that Rasalila Mandal. But so we can also understand from this point that how great area that Krishna has for the Rasa dance in spiritual world even and in the material world, unlimited. And this sprout, his love, Krishna's love for his gopis, sprout from the earth, became a Govardhan hill. So Govardhan hill is so wonderful. It is nothing but the pure love in the heart of Krishna for all the living beings. Wonderful. So this is very small writing, so please forgive me. Ebe upadesa suna, gaya yugala guna, goste goste karaha rodana. Daya kari giridhar, sunya kakuti swara, tabe dosha karibe shodhana. Now listen to this instruction. Sing the glories of the divine couple and cry right here in the pastures of Braj. When Giridhari listens to such pitiful weeping, he will cleanse me of all my faults. Ujjwala Rashera Priti Sri Radha Bhajan Niti Anya se Dibena Amaya Rupa Raghunath More Kripa Kari Atah Pare E Tattva Gopane Shikhaya. He will give me that bright and shining sweetness of love, easily showing me the ways of worshipping Sri Radha. When Rupa and Raghunath have mercy on me, they will teach me all these mysteries in secret. So this is a wonderful commentary given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And then from tomorrow, we will start reading the present Acharya commentary. And let me see who has the first one. Yeah, verse number 8. We will be embarking tomorrow. Commentary by Satchidanand Swami Maharaj. Thank you. So now let's dwell on the life of Srila Prabhupada. We should be so grateful to Prabhupada to do whatever is required to please him by any sincere effort. So we are dwelling in the life of Srila Prabhupada, volume number 4. We are on chapter number 6. Jet age, Parivrajak Jet age, everything we want to do fast. Hari Bol. We have no patience. We have lose all the virtues that needed to be remain peaceful. Tolerance, forgiveness, kindness, All these things we need to practice in our life. So I will read one more paragraph that we read yesterday because our mind is so dull. He said that when he had gone to America, his plans had been to make sannyasis. Haribol. But when he saw the free mixing of the sects in the West, he had decided to let his disciple first get married and have a child, and then the wife could go to Vrindavan with the child, and the husband could take sannyas. That was the desire of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada laughed. Man becomes entangled by his family, he said, by his home, his bank account, his animal, and so many other attachments. That's where we left. So we continue. Near the end of his work, Prabhupada spoke specifically of Paris as follows. Quote, three things are prominent here. This Acharya can just see, because I remember when we used to write the Goswami Maharaj, they can see everything, they can see the billboard and connect with Krishna consciousness, or to make a point that how this material world is a horrible place. They can connect those dots very easily. And actually, I was reading Dinabandhu Prabhu's Brajalila, and it mentioned that actually we say that the Govardhan hill goes every day like a mustard seed. But Prabhu dig out the details, and he says it's not mustard seed, it's a til seed, sesame seed. So it's smaller than the mustard seed. And actually it says that when the whole Govardhan Parvat will sink into the earth where there is no shrine of Govardhan hill, then actually it will begin the Kali Yuga. So we should feel that how worse the time will come in front of us. I was talking to another devotees, and they also told me they don't want to bring any more children in this world. And I can feel that. Haribol. Near the end of his talk, Prabhupada spoke specifically, Paris, three things are prominent here. He said, wine, woman, and money. What do you think, Harivilas? Is this a fact? So Harivilas Prabhu replied, yes, Prabhupada. This is definitely a fact. Wine, woman, and money. Prabhupada said that although these attachments were very strong, the Krishna conscious movement could overcome their influence. Prabhupada said that the houses in the Paris suburb with their attractive fenced-in yards were excellent, but everything was being wasted for sense gratification. Although a French gentleman may have such a first-class house, garden, wife, bank account, and car, he has no spiritual knowledge. Therefore, he would always remain attached to his first-class possessions. And at the end of his life, his great attachment would lead him to take birth as a cockroach or rat or dog within the same house. I heard it from my Guru Maharaj also citing the same thing. As Prabhupada and the devotees continued walking, Prabhupada asked Harivilas how he thought the temple preaching was faring. Harivilas said he thought it would be successful, but that it might be a good idea to make extra income by starting a business. Quote, your business is preaching, Prabhupada said. If there are some householders, they can do the business. When Prabhupada and his party arrived at the temple, they found the devotees eagerly waiting for Prabhupada's morning Bhagavatam lecture. But there was no time, and Prabhupada had to leave at once for the airport. He was returning from Paris to America. So now we are embarking on chapter 7. Title is This Remote Corner of the World. Haribo. Although Srila Prabhupada had been away from America for a year, his Krishna conscious movement had flourished by Krishna's grace, and the devotees' attachment for him had grown. His disciple, having heard reports and seen photos of his triumphant tour of India, had felt inspired to increase their own preaching. In each American center, new devotees had been joining and were learning Prabhupada teaching from the senior devotees. Already accepting Srila Prabhupada as their spiritual master, hundreds of newcomers were eagerly awaiting initiation. So this is wonderful that first we should connect with our Acharya, founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada will help us to find a qualified guru. Hare Krishna. How different from Prabhupada's first arrival in America, alone in 1965, walking the cold streets with no money and no temple. He had been ignored. Sometime he had thought of quitting, taking a boat back to India. But he had maintained absolute faith. And now, less than 6 years later, in dozens of ISKCON centers throughout America, hundreds of disciples worship him and would throng ecstatically to receive him. So this incident is given happened in Los Angeles on June 26, 1971. When Prabhupada had left Los Angeles a year ago, the political turmoil there had troubled his mind. But on returning, he found the devotees recovered. Faithfully, they were executing his order to chant publicly, distribute Back to Godhead magazine, and worship the deity of Rukmini Dwarkadis. In the gorgeously decorated Los Angeles temple, Prabhupada performed a large initiation ceremony, accepting dozens of new disciples. Next day, on June 27, Srila Prabhupada traveled from Los Angeles to San Francisco for the 5th annual Rath Yatra. 200 followers met him at the airport. Quote, how many devotees do you have? Unquote, a reporter asked. Quote, unlimited, unquote, Prabhupada said. Some admit and some don't admit. Admit you are a servant of Lord Krishna and your life will be a success. After 2 days in San Francisco, Prabhupada returned again to Los Angeles, and on July 16th flew to Detroit. Bhagwan Das, Prabhupada, governing body secretary for the Midwest, had preached vigorously in his own opening center in St. Louis, Chicago. and other cities. Almost 300 devotees, most of whom had never seen Prabhupada, assembled at the Detroit airport to receive him. Sureshwar Prabhu is explaining this scene. Different devotees actually is describing this incident in their own words. So Sureshwar Prabhu says devotees had come from all over the Midwestern US and Eastern Canada to greet Srila Prabhupada at Detroit's metro airport. A red and gold throne stood in the center of the reception room, and the devotees were chanting Hare Krishna and dancing, awaiting Prabhupada's arrival. When the plane finally landed, all bliss broke loose. The disembarkation dolly joined the plane, but we couldn't see Srila Prabhupada. I became anxious. When would he enter the room? Suddenly, a cry went up, and I looked around. Devotees were bowing down. So Urukarma Prabhu is explaining in his word as follows. Srila Prabhupada entered the room as bright as the sun, and everyone immediately prostrated themselves on the floor. Not like the other times when we bow down together, but this was like an overwhelming force hit us, and we were being thrown to our knees. When I stood up, I couldn't believe my eyes. There was Prabhupada. Almost everyone in the room was crying. Indradumna Maharaj is putting this scene in his own word as follows. My first glimpse of Prabhupada was through the lens of my camera. And I thought he looked just like he did in his pictures. I had only seen him in pictures, and now he looked just like the pictures. Only difference that he is moving. All the devotees began to cry and fall to the ground. It was a transcendental, emotional thing. I was looking, watching all the older devotees, how much love they had for Srila Prabhupada. And I was feeling unqualified and simple. Urukrama Prabhu again continued, he wants to speak something more. And when he said earlier, he might have missed some points. So, following words he is saying, Prabhupada appeared powerful, yet at the same time delicate and soft, like a very wonderful flower. As he moved along very slowly, the devotees lined up and made an aisle for him to walk. He walked up to Kirtananda Maharaj, put a garland around him, and embraced him. Kirtananda Maharaj was crying tears of ecstasy, and he looked like a little boy next to his father. Then Prabhupada went to Bhagwan and patted him on the head. Then he embraced Bhagwan, who also began to weep like a little boy, who was just seeing his father after a very long time. Vishwakarma Prabhu is explaining in his word as follows. I arrived late, and when I got there, I was afraid to look at Srila Prabhupada because I felt too fallen to look upon the pure representative of the Lord. So I stayed behind a wall of devotees, afraid to look. Finally, I realized this is ridiculous. as the perfection of the eyes is to behold the form of Krishna's pure devotees. I raised my head and I saw him sitting on his Vasasana, drinking a cup of water. Never had I seen anyone drink water like that without touching the goblet to their mouth, so nicely, like this. The water poured from the cup like a shining silver stream straight into Srila Prabhupada's mouth and throat, and he finished the water in a few swallows. He appeared to be a grand sage from the spiritual realm, and as everyone chanted, he looked around at the devotees, smiling with great pleasure. Everyone was overwhelmed with transcendental joy, and I joined with over half the devotees in weeping. And then Prabhupada has started speaking a little bit. Always they give like a greeting message. I have seen Tamal Krishna Maharaj also does that. Every time he comes, he will speak something, maybe for 5 minutes. Whatever they have in their mind, they rebel. So I think, I don't know how much we will be able to, only 2 minutes left. I think we will hear Prabhupada tomorrow. We should be punctual in our practices. Devotee may have to take up another duties. So before they leave, we would like to offer our humble obeisances at the dusk of these wonderful Vaishnavas and Vaishnavas, that they join early in the morning to give their kind support to all of us. Because as Prabhupada has said, one stick can easily be broken, but if we have 50 sticks, it becomes impossible to break, even though this individual stick may be so weak. We get the strength with quantity. So it's so nice. I have no word of appreciating the effort of these wonderful devotees, that they have made the determination to accept this path, because it's not easy. So many people come in contact with Krishna conscious movement, but they never take up seriously. I have seen so many members that they came to temple, they did some seva, but where are they? Very few will maintain the determined effort continuously till the last breath. And that's the hope we have, that we should live this world so happily. No anxiety, no fear in our heart. Throughout our life, we should have. That's the sign. I was reading one book, and that point came very prominent. That if you have attachment which has no relations with Krishna, definitely that attachment creates the fear in our life. So if we feel fear in our life, that means that we are attached to those things which has no relations to Krishna. And Prabhupada says, even in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in first Sistastika prayer, he says the benefit of chanting Hare Krishna is to become fearless. We should have no fear whatsoever in our life, because we should understand that everything happens in our life. Krishna has a hand in it. And if we magnify this hand nicely, Krishna will reveal within our heart actually that why Krishna did that in our life. There must be reason. And a lot of the time we blame something bad happens. But Krishna, remember, Krishna always does good for his devotees. So we should not be fearful at any moment in our life. We have to remain peaceful. So this is another some skill to measure how are we attached with the material things if we have any kind of fear in our life. So that was very prominent. I don't know which book I was reading yesterday. I read 2, 3 books. So I don't know which book I found it, but that was touching my heart. Actually, we should write those things. I keep on saying it, but I am not doing it. But whenever something touches our heart, we should keep one book to write all these things and glance it over. So, with those thoughts, let's offer our humble obeisances at the dusk of this wonderful Vaishnavas and Vaishnav, uttering the prayer Vanchu Kalpatarupasya Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitan